Warning. Censorship. Warning.
Hey! Don't touch me. Pigs! Choose your side.
Hey guys, this is Yasmin from Rebel News. The footage we're about to show you was the arrest from Saturday at the Brisbane Botanical Gardens. So at the time, me and Kip, my cameraman, were doing an interview on the other side of the field when we heard whistles and shouting. So we quickly packed up our equipment and ran over to the other side. And this little clip you're going to see here is what Kip has to carry around. How he managed to run with it was a miracle. Because as you can see, it's not light equipment. So this footage here, you can see us running through the field to all the people, and you can see shouting and whistles and a lot of carrying on. So this footage we're showing you here over the arrest was from a guy from the protest. His name is Luke, who we're going to shortly call in a moment, giving his side of the story and information over what just happened.
What's happening, Luke? This cop is here antagonised the guy with the drone.
Yeah.
I saw the whole thing. Me and my mate were watching. He was just sitting on the mound on his own, and these two undercover cops started harassing him, grabbed him, and then that's when we stepped in, pulled him apart, and then this happened.
So hey Luke, how are you going?
Good yourself.
Good, thank you. So we would love a bit of insight before the footage. So obviously we're showing we've got the group of cops. There's something going on. There's something talking there. Did you see what went on before that?
Yeah, so I was having a cigarette with my mate Jordan, and we saw these two. We noticed they made a beeline for this guy who I don't know, who was kneeling down underneath a tree, packing something into a bag, and anyway, so then one police officer, he kind of stood behind the tree. The other police officer stood in front of the guy, and the guy still hadn't noticed that they were there. And the police officers were, watching the crowd first, and I can only assume that it would be just to make sure, no one was really watching or whatever. And then the taller police officer, I can't remember his name, turned around and bent down and said something to the guy, which obviously I wasn't close enough to hear what he said. But the guy grabbed his bag, chucked it on his back and started walking off. And that's when we saw the police officer grab his bag. And then at that point, my mate and I, Jordan, ran through the garden and said, oi, what's going on? And they said, we just want to talk to him. And so I said, well, who are you guys? And they didn't tell us who they were. And from my understanding, they still hadn't identified themselves to the guy with the drone. So before my footage, there was a conversation around, like, he doesn't have the, you can ask for his name, but you still haven't identified who you are.
And now what?
So these are the Boston guys that like to spot in the middle. Keep asking their accusations. Now, if you can't prove accusations, do not feel bad.
Can you speak up? We can't hear you, sorry.
We live in a world where a lot of people...
We're just going to have a quick chat to you about the drone that you've been operating here in the park today.
Do not feel bad about it. You are part
Is it against the law to operate a drone in the
I
park?
think that's, yeah, it is. That's
It
correct.
is it?
Yes, that's
Can you produce that
I don't
information?
produce it, it is the legislation.
Okay, well, can we get everyone's details before we talk to anyone?
I'm happy to provide you with my details. I've already provided this gentleman with my name.
So can I have yours, please, sir?
My name?
Yeah.
Because the last time I checked, even though flying a drone in that area, if you don't have a license, isn't law or like against legislation, but I don't believe it's an arrestable offence.
No, 100% not. And especially because I don't think any of us even know, other than the drone flyer, whether he was packing the drone away or unpacking it. So whether he caught any whether it'd been up in the air. I mean, I was there for an hour or so and I didn't see a drone up there at all. So I saw a police chopper and that was it. I didn't hear a drone, and we know they all make that loud whooshing noise. So I can't even be sure whether he was putting it up or putting it away. So, and I'm assuming that's what the police wanted to talk to him about. But I mean, if they didn't have that proof or that knowledge, then there was no reason to be making an arrest anyway. So, and from my footage there, you hear them saying that they're arresting him because he was obstructing police.
What's he done to you, mate?
What's he done wrong?
Come on! Walk the walk!
Settle down.
They're hurting me! They are hurting me right now! Grab my arm! Get off my arm! Get off!
I need your details.
Don't.
We will do a street check and we will take up your allowed time. You'll be free to walk around here today.
What's he under arrest for?
You don't get to bully people around all the time.
What's he under arrest for?
At the moment, it's just hours, mate.
He's not obstructing anybody.
Let me go.
No. And everything will be fine.
Let me go.
No, listen. We're doing you the favour of not placing your finger. Yeah, that's 100% what we want.
Come on.
Wait, all we want is your name.
People! What's he under arrest for?
What's he under arrest for? For flying a drone. For flying a drone.
Choose your side. Choose your side.
Watch out behind you. Watch out behind you.
Choose your side.
Watch out behind you. Hey! Fuck off! Don't touch me!
Pigs! Choose your side. Let's go. Win out.
I can't see where he was obstructing them at all because they haven't notified him that he was under arrest or anything. So I don't see where the obstruction was. I mean, maybe if they said, look, mate, you're under arrest, we need to know your name or whatever, and then he then said, look, I'm not giving him the name. Maybe then, that might be an obstruction. But there was no arrest made originally until he started walking away, and then they said, you're obstructing us. Well, there's not an obstruction to walk away if you're not under arrest.
Because they were being pretty rough with the guy. I mean, he doesn't look like a very young guy particularly, and they were grabbing his arms and he said they were hurting him. So
yeah, and that's one thing, and I've gone back and forth over my footage probably 50 odd times now, and the police officer on the right, what I noticed is, he's from a security background myself, his fingers were white because he was digging in between his bicep and that bone that hard by the looks of things, and he's the one that seems to be, that's making the guy more uncomfortable. Like, you're hurting me, and that's a typical crowd control move that we've used in the past doing security because there's a lot of nerves that run through there and sends shooting pain up to your neck. So I understood that would be quite painful for the bloke, and it definitely would cause you to kind of, pull away. And that's when things kind of kicked off, and he started pulling away to, I guess, make it more comfortable. Or I can't speak for him, but then as you see my footage rolls on, the crowd gets angry. I put my footage away.
Take your hands off! You're a dog! Do your job, cop.
Chill. Copper right here, copper there. No, neither do I, but chill.
Be civil, do your job properly.
yeah, because there was a lot of sort of angry crowd and everything there as he's being sort of walked away, and there's a lot of shouting and carrying on, and then obviously your footage ends. Did you follow the guy to where he was put into the van, or?
Not to where he put into the van to where it ended up on the ground, but I feel like if all they wanted was his name, it could have stayed there, but they kept trying to drag him away, and I think that's what routed the crowd on that. You're saying, well, you want his name, but you're still pulling him off to the bushes somewhere. Like, well, where are you going with him? That's all we wanted to know. And then, yes, as my footage ended, it got a bit more aggressive. The police started coming and pushing people around and pushing us from behind, which in turn pushed people onto the police that were trying to, deal with the guy. Somehow he escaped and disappeared into the crowd, and then the crowd just dispersed. No one hit the police or anything, and then that's when I first saw Tricky come in and was getting in between crowd and police, saying, break it up, stop. This is not what we're here for. Everyone go back to the
we've
hill.
got that footage of him doing that. So pretty much when your footage ended is where we got there and we managed to carry on from there. So your footage is perfect. Luke, we'll let you go. We thank you very much for your time today, and the footage is amazing. So without that, we wouldn't be telling the other side of the story today. So thank you very much for your time.
No worries, mate. I'll speak to you again later.
So as you can see, guys, what did happen, it did look quite violent. The guy was in a lot of pain, as Luke explained. With his past being a security guard, that grip is actually quite painful, what the police used on this guy. But before anything really happened, as you can see, Tricky from the People's Revolution managed to calm everyone down, and within 5 minutes, this moment was over.
Everybody stop! Stop! Stop talking! Oi! Shut up! Stop talking! Alright, let's go back. Everyone! Guys, stay together!
So in order to keep giving you guys stories like this, showing the other side of the story, we need your support. So please go to the link below, brisbanereporters.com, and donate now so we can keep giving you moments like this because they don't want to be missed.
Let me explain the situation. There's a guy flying a drone, the cops didn't like it. After they already spoke to me about drones and having them filming the bridges and things like that. Myself and this sergeant, we're going to go take the handcuffs on him and he's going to be released. Alright?